Good afternoon and welcome to yet another episode of Mr. Long Island's Search for Truth and Beauty and the Camera That's Working. My name is Michael Watt, aka Mr. Long Island, and our guest today is Dawn Berkowitz-Ader from gals.org, and we're going to get into that a little bit. Gals is a group that helps young girls acclimate into society. We'll talk about that. You can certainly describe it better than me. But first, before we do anything else like we do every week on Mr. Long Island's Search for Truth and Beauty, we're going to talk about pizza. And thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. The idea behind that is Long Island's a very diverse community, all different kinds of towns and villages and whatnot. The one thing every town in Long Island has in common is a pizza place. And Long Islanders will drive by pizza places if they know there's better pizza somewhere else. So we are collecting a great database of great pizza places on Long Island. Dawn, today's your chance to add to that. Can you make a recommendation for us?
Absolutely, hands down, Eddie's Pizza in New Hyde Park. Love the thin crust.
Okay.
Love they have something for everyone, gluten-free for all those people that you know. Fat-free cheese, low skim, part skim, you name it, cheese, whole wheat, and very satisfying and crunchy.
Well, you know, it's interesting because there are literally thousands of pizza places on Long Island. We have had Eddie's mentioned before, so if you get mentioned more than once, considering all the different pizza places there are to choose from, it's Eddie's in New Hyde Park.
Yep,
Where
on Hillside Avenue.
Hillside Avenue, New Hyde Park. So we'll definitely have to check that out.
It's a good one.
Thank you for adding to the collection. Dawn, now the name of your group is called GALS?
Girls Athletics and Life Skills, it stands for.
Okay, and how long has it been around?
So the idea began about the spring of 2011, and about this time last year, we held a class to test the program in my driveway with my daughters and their friends, and we did one a month for September through December, and we started full class season last January. We had 3 classes on Saturdays.
Now you talk about a class, so what's the purpose of the organization? What are the classes like? What are we trying to do here?
So we are looking to empower girls through physical activity and teach them how to take the life skills that they learn in sports and apply them to their daily experiences. So with that, we are enhancing their physical, mental, and social well-being. And we have classes and workshops to invite girls from preschool all the way through middle school to enable them to do that.
Now what's interesting about sports, and obviously I grew up playing sports, and then I had 2 sons, and while watching them play sports, I started to develop an appreciation for the comparison between an athletic competition and the real world. Why don't you talk about that a little bit? About we all know about teamwork, obviously, and competition. Talk to us a little bit about that and why you felt it was important that girls maybe get a keener appreciation for that.
Well, from all of my observations, I have 2 daughters, one in 3rd grade and one in 6th grade. And from my observations, the girls were learning differently than boys and processing differently. However, the lessons were the same. So when I watched one daughter playing basketball and on one side of the gym was boys and the other side was girls, I recognized that the lesson was identical but the response couldn't have been more dissimilar. So my daughter, for example, wouldn't take the ball from another girl on the other team because she thought the girl would be mad at her. So there's a whole mental aspect of sports that comes into play, and these are generalizations, but for many girls that don't come into play for boys. 2 girls that won't pass the ball to each other on the team because they got into a fight that day. Even though they're losing and one's the best shooter on the team, didn't matter. They wouldn't pass the ball. I've never seen that happen when I watch boys play sports. So with that realization that girls needed to learn differently, I started doing research into the physical activity portion of things as well as the life skills. And so for girls, and there's a lot in the media these days with Lean In and lots of organizations that are doing things to empower girls, but it really comes down to that we teach them, sports teaches them the life skills like teamwork, like you mentioned, like leadership, like communication, good listening, and all of those things, but we need to connect the dots for them. We need to tell them how it can be applied to their daily life. So for example, leadership is something that, when you're a man or a boy and you're playing on a team and you're the best on the team, chances are you're going to be the captain or the leader of the team. For girls, that's not the same case. It's not the best person, the most athletic, gifted, and talented person. It's the one who has the mental capacity to handle being a leader and understanding what that means. And it means that you're not going to make everyone happy all the time. And oftentimes for girls, it is very much so something that they concern themselves with, how others are going to perceive them and how it will affect their relationships. So that's the life skills component, and why we felt that it was so important to help these girls understand how to apply these life skills to their daily life.
So the lesson is for them to understand that they can be a leader, or to be a leader, they don't have to, or they can't really worry about the feelings of the other person other than just trying to get the best out of them?
So precisely, but
Okay.
we'll have mini dialogues throughout our program. So in our week that focuses on leadership, for example, we've paired it with racket sports. So we'll go through and we'll have every single week, we start with icebreakers that
Okay.
revolve around the specific life skill. So for each icebreaker, we'll pick a leader. It could be we have someone who has a puzzle and they have to direct the other girls to put the puzzle together. They're the leader giving the information and showing them the challenges. But throughout that process, we're having dialogue with them. Through when we do these racket sports for this week and we go through our tennis, we go through Kadima, we go through badminton, and all the things that could relate to a racket sport, we might pick one girl at the beginning and say, you're going to pick which one we're going to do today. Is it tennis? That girl stands up typically not wanting to answer the question. She's looking at the other girls, trying to determine what they want to do. We make them make a decision. Once the decision's made, we ask the girls who wanted something other than what this girl picked. When those that raise their hand, we ask them, how are you feeling? Are you angry with her? Oftentimes they'll say yes, and we'll say, well, let's look at this for a minute. Is it her that you're angry with, or is it the decision that she made? And so we try to help them separate that, and we tell them, when you're in a leadership role, remember that it's the decisions that you're making that people might not be happy with, and if you need to, remind the others in the group, whether it's a homework group or a project group, wherever you may be, remind the others, I have to make this decision, I've been tasked with this, and perhaps you're not going to like it, and if you want to, you can apologize, but you don't need to be apologetic. And so we give them little life lessons and give little scenarios where we can help them through certain situations. That's the goal.
Now, to be clear, there's no athletic training involved. It's really just more how to be a better teammate with the idea of becoming a better leader.
There is athletic training. So every
Okay.
class has 15 minutes at the front and 15 minutes at the back of these icebreakers and team building exercises.
But
that
if my
involve-
daughter is a soccer player, you're not going to teach her how to be a better soccer player.
We are not a better soccer player,
Okay.
no. So every week is one physical skill, and we alternate between traditional sports and non-traditional sports.
Okay.
So we teach them the fundamental skills used in sports. So someone who hasn't played soccer will learn how to kick the ball properly. Someone who doesn't know how to throw the ball the proper way will learn how to throw the ball the proper way. So we do go through the fundamental skills, the goal being many things. One is for the girls to learn enough so that they feel comfortable and confident in whatever environment they're in to participate. So all too often you'll encounter girls that go to a friend's house who may have a basketball hoop, and they're not going to play because they don't feel comfortable. They don't want to make a fool of themselves. They're very worried about how they appear. And so they're on a beach. They don't want to throw a frisbee. We teach them how to throw a frisbee. We do very basic things so that, again, wherever they are, whether it's school or camp, a friend's house, they have the skills to be able to succeed and feel good about themselves. So we alternate between, like I said, traditional and non-traditional sports, also with the hopes that perhaps we're exposing them to things they have not been exposed to before, and they find something that resonates with them. Not every girl is going to find a traditional sport. A ball sport is what they tend to shy away from, many of these girls. So we like to expose them to a variety of things.
Now, let me ask something, and at the risk of asking a really stupid question.
No
all right?
stupid questions.
Oh, this might qualify. Is it something that comes natural because of that second X chromosome, because they're a girl, or is it something that it's just the way girls are raised, and being very generalistic there?
I would guess that it's probably both, But if I had to say which one's more overweighted, I would say it's the chromosomal differences.
I mean, is it in their DNA to do all those things, like that they have that natural inclination to behave the way you're suggesting?
I would guess yes. I don't certainly have any statistics and research to back that up.
I mean, just in general.
But in general,
yeah.
I would say yes. I think that, as women, and it's generalizations again, we tend to overthink things.
Okay.
And think a lot about things that, on the field, off the field. You had a bad day with a friend, you get on the field, you just play. Girls don't do that. They tend to hold all of those feelings in with them. And that's one of the things that we really try to do in our classes is we allow the girls to express themselves. Oftentimes in sports, you get on the field, you play. Whether it's a game, it's practice. There is no room, there's no time to have a dialogue about what happened at school today or how you're feeling while you're playing. So we might stop in the middle of something and say, who's feeling frustrated? Raise your hand. All right, you're frustrated, throw the ball down, switch balls, try another ball. We know that the other ball isn't going to make a difference for
Right.
them, but psychologically it might. We're allowing them that moment to say, I'm frustrated, and what's more important during that time is to see that other people are feeling the same way. Girls are so concerned about how they look and how they feel, they just want to be accepted and liked, and they want to be one of a group. And so that's what I think is unique about the program, is that we're creating an atmosphere where they feel comfortable, they feel supported. And what's also interesting is that, because we're changing sports every single week and physical activities, there's not one natural athlete that rises to the top.
Okay.
And so there's not this intimidation like she's the best, because every week you might be great this week, but
Right.
next week it might not be your activity that you're going to excel at. So they're all so supportive of each other and happy to see each other succeed.
Now, I assume you played sports as a youth?
Never.
Never played sports. So
That's why the program was born.
explain.
So I never played sports. I was never pushed to play sports, and only after college did I become physically active. And by saying that, I mean exercising.
Right.
And so always felt a little insecure, or a lot insecure, about not being able to participate in activities that I would be invited to. And when I met my husband, he's a sports guy, he's an athlete, he works for ESPN, so sports is a big part of his life. And we would be on vacation, we'd be somewhere, well, let's go throw a ball or let's play tennis. And I never felt comfortable doing that because I didn't know how to do it well. And so I realized that when I had my children, I did not want them to feel that way.
Okay.
And they did. And it was never a discussion, and they had their own insecurities. And so seeing that, recognizing, okay, what can I do to change that? And watching, like I said, the boys on one side and the girls on the other, and seeing the differences, it really sparked an interest in me to find out what it is that we can do to change it all. And so that's kind of how GALS was born.
Have you had conversations with the coaching community at any level in terms of
Very much
recognizing that?
Very much so. It is actually an area that I'd love to grow into, doing professional development for coaches as well as for gym teachers. Some get it, some don't. Some are very old school. And there's not a right or wrong per se. It's really what works for your child. This program isn't for every child. Parents will call me and say, well, my daughter already plays soccer. What do you think about that? I said, well, that's great that she feels comfortable playing soccer, but we teach much more than one sport, and we also teach life skills and how to connect the dots, and we help them build self-confidence. If they are confident and comfortable playing all these sports, that's wonderful. This may not be the program for you. Like others want somebody, a coach, who's going to really drive them to succeed and push them and motivate them. That's not our philosophy. It's not how we go about doing things. So, it's not a one-size-fits-all by any means, do I believe. We go about it a certain way. We're not a program that pushes girls in that way, but we also don't believe that everybody gets a trophy and everybody's a winner. So,
Right.
It's finding your own belief system and sticking to it.
Well, it struck me when you were first telling me about it that it really enables a parent to have their child get maximum benefit out of that athletic experience. Like I said, after a while watching my sons, I started to realize it was more than just about winning and losing. It was about learning how to deal with life. And, to have that fine line between competitive, I'm going to knock the other guy on his butt, and good sportsmanship. So I would imagine there's a lot of that in the curriculum, and the girls come out knowing better how to be a better teammate.
There is. When you look at the research and all the numbers, it tells a compelling story. In particular, girls who play sports are less likely to be obese, and they're very, things that you would expect. Less likely to be obese, less likely to have health issues, right? But then there's also the mental end of things where you're less likely to have anxiety or be depressed. You also, the biggest thing that I think was an eye-opener is the self-esteem for these girls is off the charts. Girls who play sports, they feel better about themselves. They have fewer sexual partners and a delay in first sexual experience simply because they feel good about themselves.
Right.
And so then you look at the academics, also a very strong tie. 80% of female executives in Fortune 500 companies played team sports. There's a strong correlation.
That's fascinating, 80%. That doesn't surprise me, it's fascinating. One of the things that I've always noticed, and I don't know if this correlates, but it's just anecdotal, but when you're in a group dynamic and you have the dreaded going around the room and introducing yourselves, I'm amazed at how many times the male will say, "Hello, I'm Michael Watt," and the woman will say, "Hello, I'm Dawn." And it just, why, is that...
An identifier, you think? The way
Yeah,
that people...
I don't know. What, is that kind of relating to what we're talking about here, or...?
I don't know. I haven't really experienced that. Now that
Okay.
you've brought that to my attention, I certainly want to pay attention to it and kind of think about it more. I haven't seen that. I would guess that a strong woman who is comfortable in her own skin would be more likely to do the same thing, as the way that you've
Well,
represented
the
that you
operative
would
phrase
do.
is comfortable in her own skin. This is a case of a little knowledge being a good thing. When you kind of understand better what's going on, and it's not just what's in front of you, it's all the ins and outs and the relationships, and especially if the kid is really involved in sports but isn't going to become a professional, which is the vast majority of young people in Long Island. Hate to break it to you, Long Island parents. So you want to make the most of that experience, and you're spending a whole weekend in a tournament. It's not so much that we win or lose, it's what did we learn, and are we a better person because of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, as I've been on this journey, I've done a lot of research, especially since, like I said, I didn't play sports. So I would like to relate to these families and these girls on a different level. As the mother, I can do that. And, one of the things that I read, which I thought was so interesting, is, for example, after a tournament, you get in the car, and as a parent, you want to talk about what happened. It's probably one of the worst things that we can do as a parent. We are sharing with them our views, whether we
Right.
realize it or not. And really what the kids need is for them to internalize and digest and process everything
Well, that's
on their
interesting.
own.
Now you tell me.
And
Yeah.
so, it's interesting information that I come across and try to share with the families that are in the program, whether, again, you can take it with a grain of salt and do it or not, but there's a lot of interesting thinking behind all of the information that I'm sharing.
Well, let me ask you this, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, I've seen plenty of dads, and I may even be a little guilty of myself, who, I'm going to give my kid every break that I never got because, he's got talent. Do the moms see what you're doing for the girls in the program and either say, geez, I wish I'd understood that when I was that age? And are they open to it? Are they receptive? What kind of reactions do you get?
I have been overwhelmed by the response from the community. Every time someone calls about the program, I hear their personal story and their relationship with sports, whether it was someone like me who didn't participate or someone who's an athlete, and then they share with me the story about their child and their child's experience with sports. And the moms in particular become very passionate about the program, happy to support us and spread the word. And really, at the end of a class might come over to me and say, my daughter last week you played Frisbee and she made me go and get a Frisbee and we spent our weekend playing Frisbee, thank you. And I get lots of thank yous. I
Wow.
I had a sedentary child and she never wanted to participate in anything, and because of this class, she now does. I had one woman who said, we've been trying to get my daughter to play soccer for a few years and she refused to participate, and now after your class and a season of your class, she now signed up, and I 100% attribute it to gals. So for me, that's why I'm doing this.
Terrific,
It's
sure.
so fulfilling to see these girls. I had one girl, a first grader, who could, really didn't talk much and didn't participate. And on the last week of class, and when we did our Frisbee class, she picked up the Frisbee and she threw it to the other side of the gym. And it looked like a 4th or 5th grade girl who had thrown the Frisbee. And she said, "I did that?" I said, "Yes, you did that."
Great?
And I gave it to her. I said, "You can do it again." And she had no idea that she had that ability.
Right.
And it changed her entire persona, and her face lit up, and she felt really good about herself. So this is what we really strive to do with all of the girls that enter the program.
And what's the age range of the girls who participate?
We just opened pre-K.
Okay.
So we offer pre-K in Port Washington and also in Garden City. And then we go up to 5th grade for the ongoing weekly classes. And then we have one-off workshops for girls of those ages as well as middle school. We do Girl Scouts as well. And we just started, we had a big success. We did a mother-daughter class. We did stand-up paddleboarding.
Wow.
And the mothers and the daughters had a great time, and also had wonderful feedback about their daughters being hormonal and it being a tough time in their households, and how they were appreciative that we brought them together in this way, and how their daughters really enjoyed it. And so there's going to be a lot more of that. We're looking into doing some really interesting ideas that mothers and daughters could bond and have these wonderful experiences, because as we all know, as parents, we are their role models, and the same-sex parent rather, is such an important part of the child's life. So we're looking forward to doing more of that.
That's terrific, Dawn. Thank you very much. Is there a website people can go to for more information?
It is www.gals with two A's,
Two A's,
GAALS.com.
.com. All right, this has been enlightening and terrific, and I really appreciate you sharing the information with us. And
Thank you.
Congratulations, it's a terrific,
Thank you so much.
Terrific program. And the whole concept of Mr. Long Island's Search for Truth and Beauty. The truth part is issues that need to be discussed to ensure Long Island's vitality, and the beauty part is highlighting programs like yours that do so much to benefit the community. So on behalf of Long Island, thank you so much for starting that, and thank you for your time this afternoon. This has been another episode of Mr. Long Island's Search for Truth and Beauty. My name is Michael Watt, aka Mr. Long Island, and I thank you very much for joining us today.